Duncan, first of all, it's good to see you. Congratulations on the film.
Thank you so much.
One of the neat things about sci-fi is that sci-fi often kind of dwells in that area between the possible and the impossible. And source code seems to in a very calculated way, walk that line between science fiction and reality. And, you know, I was reading a bunch of stuff about what went into source code. Yeah. Talk about where source code falls between science fiction and reality.
Well, I think Ben Ripley did a great job. I mean, he's very much the brains behind this operation. He's the Rutledge of our script. He wrote this thing. His wife is a scientist. His father's a scientist. I think he did a lot of research, and his early drafts had a lot of that research embedded in the script. I think over the course of time, he realized that the best way to get the audience on board was to pull back on some of that exposition and leave us in a state where we understand the rules of what source code is at the start, but because of the lightness of tone of the film, the fact that there's some humor injected into it, we can ask the audience to take a leap of faith. You know, here are the rules, just accept it, go along with us, and we're going to give you a great ride. And I think that's why the film works so well.
Now, a lot of these sci-fi films, what they'll do is they start with a great premise,
yeah,
and then just kind of inhabit that premise.
Yeah.
But very quickly you learn in the movie, you also have a bit of a mystery going on for the audience in terms of Jake's character. What was your philosophy in incorporating that mystery with the overall premise together in the film?
Well, again, I've got to go back to the script. It was a great read, and one of the things that made it work so well as a thriller is that we as an audience are discovering things at the same rate that Coulter is, the character that Jake plays. And I think if that's how it feels, and we were hopefully able to capture that in the movie itself, I think that's when thrillers really work. You don't want the audience to be too behind what the protagonist is discovering, and you certainly don't want them to be ahead of what he's discovering. So I think that beat of the film was just right.
Now, you mentioned before that there could be, this is a film that could have got bogged down in a lot of exposition, but you found a way in a movie that mostly takes place on a train,
yeah, to
pepper in the right amount of beats of action sequences and things of that nature. How did you accomplish that and not have it get bogged down?
Well, you know, I worked with an amazing VFX supervisor, a guy called Louis Morin from Montreal, and he's that great blend.
Fellow Canadian, okay.
Right? So he's already ahead of the game.
Yes.
He's got that great blend of being a technician and also an artist, and we worked together because it was definitely a step up from the budget I had on my first film, Moon. But it wasn't a huge enough budget that all things were possible. We really had to choose our moments, and very much like we did with Moon, we looked at the script as a whole, looked at the story and how it developed, and worked out, you know, here are the moments where we can really go to town, and here's where we really need to rely on other things. Fortunately, I had an amazing cast, and that really just raised the bar on the whole film anyway. I had Jake Gyllenhaal, Michelle Monaghan, Vera Farmiga, and Jeffrey Wright. These are all high caliber, incredibly talented actors, and that really just makes things so much easier.
Now, I'm going to ask you to take your director's hat off for a second and put on your salesman hat for a
yes.
second. Why are audiences who go to our AMC theaters going to love source code?
I think it's because of the energy of the film and the fact that it does have a real feel-good factor. It's action and thrills. There's some really great head-scratching moments at the end where you can think about how did that work and really talk about it with your friends after the movies. And it's got romance and it's got special effects. I think it really is like the full package. It's kind of got everything. And I have to say again, amazing performances by great actors.
Well, again, congratulations on the film. We can't wait to have it on AMC screens.
Thank you so much.